distinguished pleasure this auspicious occasion to do a whole lot with one word. It is with profound gratitude that we, the members of the Scout Association of Guyana, present this much anticipated award ceremony. I would like to warmly welcome His Excellency the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Honorable David Granger, Operations Executive for the Caribbean, Mr. Ron Richardson, Deputy Operations Executive for the Caribbean, Mr. Jesus Haranas, President and Chief Scout of the Guyana Scout Association, Mr. Ramzi Ali, Chief Commissioner, Mrs. Zaida Joaquin, special invitees, awardees, media, fellow Scouts. I do not only welcome you to today's proceedings, but would also like to welcome you to this elite 105 years old organization, which is the single largest organization for youth in the world. I do hope that all of today's proceedings will melt your hearts and ignite your imaginations, and that your stay here will be worth the while. Once again, I say welcome, welcome, welcome.
Someone is very special to the Scout Association of Guyana and has been so for many years, and that is Mrs. Zaida Joaquin, our Chief Commissioner since 2006, and who has earned the distinction of being the first female Chief Commissioner of SAG in its 106 years of Scouting. An active member of SAG since 1994, she joined the St. Margaret's Scout Group as an assistant Cub Scout leader, eventually becoming the Group Scout leader, a position she held up to the time she became Chief Commissioner. She served as treasurer from 1996 to 1999, and over the years has held several administrative positions in SAG, including International Commissioner, National Training Commissioner, Deputy Chief Commissioner, Administration, District Commissioner, and Scout Shop Manager. Quite a load for one lady. In 2009, the Caribbean Jamboree was held as part of the association's centenary celebrations, and I think, as Ron Richardson will agree, it was one of the best ever. Thanks a great deal to her leadership and expertise, it is considered, as I mentioned, one of the most successful Caribbean Jamborees ever held, and it was the first Caribbean Jamboree to have a global development village and a youth forum, both of which were well received by all. Mrs. Joaquin has attended 3 World Scout conferences, a World Scout Jamboree, several Caribbean Scout Jamborees, and coveries, serving as deputy and contingent leader respectively. She has attended all Caribbean Chief Commissioners conferences since 2002 and was appointed the Vice President for the Caribbean Executive Committee in 2008. She is now the President of the Caribbean Executive Committee, a position she has held since 2012. She is a trained Scout leader, having attained her Wood Badge, 3 beats, since July 2002, and also served on several occasions as a member of the Trinidad and Tobago training team for their Advanced Practical Wood Badge course. Mrs. Jokin is married, has 2 children, and is the Human Resources Administration Manager at the Hand in Hand Group of Companies since 1993. I tried to make it a shorter introduction. I couldn't, because she has done so much.
In our 106 years of Scouting, the nation, today marks a special and important day in the calendar of Scout Association of Guyana. Today is the day that we say thank you to the people who have made significant contribution to Scouting. Importantly, the contributions you have all made have allowed us to fulfill our most important mandate handed down by the World Organization of the Scout Movement. That is, to contribute to the education of young people by instilling in them the 3 main principles of Scouting. That is, duty to God, duty to others, and duty to self. The World Scout Movement is ever evolving. From the first Scout camp at Brownsea Island, England in 1907, attended by 12 boys under the guidance and leadership of our founding father, Lord Baden-Powell, to an organization boasting membership in 223 countries and territories worldwide. From 12 boys to 40 million scouts and leaders in over 1 million local community scouting groups. Indeed, Scouting have evolved into the largest youth organization on this planet. Such an astounding feat would not be possible were it not for you, our dedicated leaders who have gone beyond and above in the name of Scouting, who selflessly volunteer your time and energy, paying it forward, contributing to the development of young people, young, impressionable youth. Undeniable, life doesn't always accommodate neither our passion for altruistics nor love of Scouting, and sometimes we do have to choose. We are obligated to prioritize which task, which activity, which gathering takes precedence. For this, we thank you for considering your volunteerism, the Scouting family, a priority. A heartfelt thank you to the husbands, wives of Scout leaders for their support and understanding. To you, our reluctant non-uniform members, my husband, our spouses, who have unknowingly joined the Scouting family, thank you. We are eternally grateful and indebted to you. You have embraced the peaks and valleys and weathered each storm with us equally as members of the family of Scouting. To our non-uniform supporters, your silent contribution to Scouting has placed us in a better position, fulfilling our mandate. Thank you. A million thanks to our auditor, Mr. Sebran, who have been auditing our books free of cost for a number of years. To our awardees, this is a momentous occasion, whose significance will be etched in your hearts forever by the President of Guyana Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Mr. President, we thank you. I implore you to reflect on the significance of this historic gathering. Let us be the motivator to strive for continued excellence. Let this be the catalyst that fuels you to be the change you want to see in the world, one day, one person at a time. May God continue to bless every member of the Scout Association and our extended families. Thank you. He received his professional military training at the Army Command and Staff College in Nigeria, the Jungle Warfare Instruction Center in Brazil, and the School of Infantry in the Mons Officer Cadet School, respectively, in the United Kingdom. He's trained in Britain, then Brazil, then Nigeria, and eventually became the commander of the Guyana Defense Force in 1979. He was promoted to the rank of brigadier He was then appointed as National Security Advisor to the President in 1990 and retired from the military service in 1992. This noble man founded the Guyana Review News magazine in 1992 and served as its managing editor. He has researched and published on military, historical, and media themes. He is also a graduate of the University of Guyana, where he received his bachelor and master's degrees. The University of the West Indies, where he received his postgraduate diploma in international relations, and the University of Maryland, where he was the Hubert Humphrey Fellow. He is married to Sandra Nee Chanasu and is the father of 2 daughters. He is the holder of 3 national awards: the Military Efficiency Medal, the Military Service Medal, the Military Service Star for Distinguished Military Service. Let us now stand and welcome His Excellency the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Brigadier David Arthur Granger.
I'm honored to be here this afternoon, and I'm half glad that the rain drove you from the first venue back home. I once met a young woman from Barbados who asked me if it was true that there were fish on board a cricket ground. And then I thought hard. Some cockabilly had come in from the trench and had found themselves at the edge of the cricket ground. So she discovered that, and she probably thought it was some Arapaima. But we've got to overcome the flooding in Georgetown, and in any event, I'm glad that you're here, back in Thomas Lands, and I feel honored to have been asked to be here with you this evening. Thanks for your invitation, and thank you all for coming out to this biennial Leaders Award ceremony of the Scout Association of Guyana. I'd like to start by congratulating those who will be receiving awards this evening, and to express my own personal expectation and encouragement that this award will not be seen as the end, as a prize, as a reward, but it will be seen as an incentive to continue to serve this great movement. When we speak of leadership, we speak of a long, lonely lane. And there's no more difficult task in the world than to be a leader. And I'm glad that these awards are for leadership, because this is the time of your life when you need to be trained in leadership. A leader must make decisions. A leader must set an example. A leader must make choices. A leader must be able to accept criticism. I see Mr. Chabral smiling at me. But a leader must learn from his mistakes. A leader has to choose. A leader has to teach. And the longer training you have in leadership, the better you are to become president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. So this is the right place to start. So you have embarked on a career of scouting. Now, scouting covers the years which perhaps are the most difficult in your life. Some of us don't realize it at the time. You think you're young and you're having fun. But people make so many mistakes at this stage of their lives, this adolescent stage, that sometimes their whole lives are ruined afterwards. Things start to happen to your body, and sometimes the elders don't explain. You have to find out for yourself, or some person teaches you. Your voice changes. Your attitude to the other sex changes. You can't focus on studies. You focus on all sorts of devices. You see what I mean? But scouting helps to guide us through this difficult period of our lives. Scouting is for young people. It helps with their physical, mental, and spiritual development. It helps them to play a constructive role in society. It helps them to develop a strong focus also on the country in which they live, on the outdoors. It encourages them to acquire survival skills. And as the Commissioner pointed out, it encourages you to serve your country, to serve God, and to serve yourself, in that order. So, why is scouting important in Guyana, or to Guyana, or to you? Few of us ever get the opportunity to really discover Guyana and to understand the type of country in which we live. I remember when I was graduating from University of Guyana, the person next to me literally had his diploma in one hand and the airline ticket to Bahamas in the other hand. He said, "David, Monday morning I'm gone." And many of the people who are gone have never really discovered the beauty of the country that they're leaving. When I visit the diaspora, I often tell them that Guyana is a nation divided in two. Half lives in North America, half lives in South America. And in fact, the big half, if you know that expression, the big half lives in North America. The Canadian High Commissioner told me some time ago there were over 350,000 Guyanese in Canada alone. I think the United States probably has about 750,000. And when you think of the Caribbean, when you think of Venezuela, Brazil, Suriname, you can see that the smallest collection of Guyanese actually live in Guyana. But the larger portion lives overseas. But my point is that if they were able to understand their country better through scouting and through other movements like Scouts, they would not want to leave, or having left, they'd hurry to come back. Guyana, for me, is the best, it is the biggest, the most beautiful, the most bountiful country in the Caribbean, bar none. The Northwest region, the Barima-Waini region alone is 4 times the size of Trinidad and Tobago. The Cuyuni-Mazaruni region is bigger than the Netherlands. The Rupununi region is bigger than Costa Rica. We may be small by continental standards, by the standards of Brazil or Argentina, but we are big by the Caribbean standards. And if all of the countries in CARICOM, perhaps with the exception of Suriname, if all of the island territories in CARICOM were huddled together, they will fit comfortably into Guyana with space for us to continue living. So that is the size of the country we are talking about. It is a country that possesses waterfalls, the most beautiful in the world, possesses mountains, possesses lakes, possesses jungles, possesses savannas. And some of us have never seen these places. I remember I was on a course in Washington at the National Defense University, and somebody from Suriname was showing a movie about Suriname, which looked like Guyana, of course. And the people from Antigua, the people from Anguilla, the people from St. Kitts were saying, where is this? That's part of CARICOM. That's part of the Guyanas. You know, there are 5 Guyanas. The Spanish Guyana in Venezuela, which is called Guyana. There's the British Guyana, which is now Guyana. There's the Dutch Guyana, which is now Suriname, there's French Guyana, which is La Guyana, which everybody calls Cayenne, and there's the Portuguese Guyana. There are 5 Guyanas. But all Guyanas are beautiful, and we are the envy of the Caribbean. I speak to Barbadians and they will tell me how their fathers used to tell them, their parents used to tell them, one day you must go to Guyana. That is the destination of the West Indian people. But that was then. But the point I'm making is that it is through adventure, it is through the activities of organizations such as the Scouts Association of Guyana that you can discover the size and the beauty of this country. And look at our fauna. We have the biggest eagle in the world, the harpy eagle, bigger than the American bald eagle. We have the biggest freshwater fish in the world. I hope people don't think of sweet and sour fish when they see the arapine. We have the biggest river otter in the world. I hope you don't think about south. We have the biggest rodent in the world, the watras or the capybara. We have the biggest anteater in the world, the giant anteater. We have the biggest predator, and I'm not talking politics here. We have the biggest predator on the continent of South America, the jaguar. We have the biggest freshwater turtle in the world. We have the biggest snake in the world. We have the biggest bat in the world, the biggest caiman in the world. Why do you want to run away from such a beautiful country? It is the greatest in the world. But to help you to discover our grandeur, not grandeur, to help you to discover our grandeur, we need organizations such as the Scouting Association of Guyana. You can't learn about Guyana by sitting here in Thomas Lands and Wilford Avenue, by sitting here on the coastline. You need organizations which are empowered, which have the capability and the capacity to take you beyond the city into our huge hinterland, into our savannas, into our mountains. I can tell you, sometimes in places like Makatoy, you wake up in the morning, you don't know which part of Alaska you're in. It is so cold, so uncomfortable. But that is Guyana. Some parts of Tacoma, like the Sahel, you might think you're in the Sahara Desert. But that is Guyana, a beautiful country of savannas, of forests, of waterfalls, of jungles. But what is happening to this rich legacy that we've inherited? Many of our young people do not overcome that hurdle of adolescence successfully. Far too many do not overcome that hurdle of adolescence. As I told you, and I've said before in my campaign trail, some people start their primary education on the Naming Primary School, then they go to the Camp Street Secondary School, and they end up at the University of Mazaruni. And that is their whole youth wiped out. It is not a laughing matter, because 75% of the prison inmates are young people. People whose lives could have been turned around by the Scouting Association of Guyana if they had that opportunity. But they spend their whole lives in the penal system. And that is why, within a fortnight of becoming president of this country, I took a decision to release about 5 dozen young people from jail, young men and women. Some of them had been sentenced to a year imprisonment for stealing a cell phone. I said, go your way and sin no more. Start your life again. 18, 19-year-old boys and girls, you don't belong in prisons. You belong in colleges. And sometimes when I see street children, when I hear about drop-in centers, we don't need drop-in centers. We need technical institutes. We need scouting associations of Guyana. We need clubs where young people can go. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, every single month, about 500 boys and girls drop out of primary and secondary school. When I say drop out, I mean drop out completely. They don't go back. Many of them are illiterate. Many of them are innumerate. But every month, over 500 drop out. That is a shame. Because if between the ages of 10 and 20, you do not complete your education, it will impair, impede, obstruct your chances of getting satisfactory employment afterwards. Among young people, over 2 out of every 5 are unemployed. Why? Because they have no experience in getting a job. So when you go for a job, people say, what experience you have? I say, just come out of school, you have experience, you have no place for you. You want people with experience. How are you going to get experience if you never had a job? But that is the problem young people face. They have no job experience, so they can't get jobs. But many of them cannot hold the jobs because they don't have even the academic qualifications or the attitudes to hold on to those jobs. So unemployment hits young people hardest. They don't even have, some of them at least, do not even have the entrepreneurial skills to embark on independent enterprises. Many of them are poor. Many of them cannot afford a proper meal. You see them in the morning with a bus and a salary. That's it. That is it. And they are so poor that sometimes they produce children who are also poor, giving rise to what I call hereditary poverty. When you see many poor children, it is because their parents are poor. Poverty is not a lifestyle choice. Poverty is because you can't help it. And poverty limits your options, limits your opportunities. A poor person cannot sit down and say, well, okay, I've just finished National Grade 6. Let me decide whether I go to Marian Academy or Mays. Poor people have very limited choices. They can't travel in a minibus because they can't afford a fare, they don't go to school. They can't go to a good school, they end up going to a school perhaps with insufficient furniture, with no laboratories, with insufficient staff. And this contributes to this cycle of poverty. Many of them fall out because of domestic problems at home. They fall out of the family system. For one reason or the other, I don't have to go into that now. And they end up on the street. The solution is not necessarily to create more drop-in centers. The solution is to reintegrate them in their families. And we must understand how important the family is to young people. There are some places in the hinterland, as you know, the distances I've just described could be very, very vast. Very, very vast. And sometimes indigenous children or other children in the hinterland are given scholarships to go to a school with a dormitory, are far away from home, they get homesick. Sometimes they leave school, get in a boat, canoe and paddle and go home. And when they drop out of the school system, they end up facing difficulties as adults. You just saw the National Grade 6 examination results. Look carefully at the results for children in the Barima-Waini, the Kuyuni-Mazaruni, the Potaro-Separuni, and the Rupununi regions. And you'll see the scores that some of them have gotten at age 10 or 11. And you'll see that Guyana is a very unequal country. And many of those children will not be able, some of them are not even qualified to enter secondary schools. And anything that could be done to help young people to see this period of their lives through successfully is welcome. And that is why I welcome this Scout Association of Guyana. Many of them too, for one reason or the other, become involved in antisocial behavior. This is the time you take your first puff of a cigarette. Some of them like it, some of them don't. Your first drink, well, feeling good, let's take another. But as I said, it's a difficult time of your life. And this makes it more important that we should have the type of leadership, the skills, and the opportunities provided by the Scout Association of Guyana. You're only young once. You will never get that opportunity again. Scouting is a lifetime experience. The lessons that you learn here will last you a very long time. There's one particular scout at the head table who I know was scouting 60 years ago. He looks like 50, but really he's 70. His name is Ron Robinson. But it is something that stays with you. You don't give it up. You don't stop being a scout. You continue to impart skills. And I've never known him not to be a scout. He's always been interested. He's always been active. He's always been helping the movement. And in earlier days, we used to have land scouts, we used to have sea scouts. And I think at one stage they even tried to have air scouts. So whether you're a fish or fowl, there is some scouting arm or branch that is made for you. So, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are participating this evening in one of the most important activities that can ever take place for young people in this country. The choice of scouting is an important choice for you to make because it can help you, it can save you, it can guide you, it can teach you. And I do believe that my administration's vision for young people is similar to the vision of the Scouting Association of Guyana for young people. This is not a militarized organization, although Lord Baden-Powell, as you know, was a lieutenant general in the British Army. Yeah, he was a general. But he founded Scouting for young people. And was focused on the outdoors. And I believe that in Guyana, we should continue that focus that established the Scout movement internationally over 108 years ago. I congratulate those of you who will receive awards this evening. Thanks again for inviting me to come. I want to renew the commitment of our administration to provide an annual financial subvention to the Scout Association of Guyana to continue their work. Don't clap too hard. I got to bail out Gaisupo. and that's 16 billion as real money. But we will continue to provide financial assistance because I would like to see the Scout Association, the Scout movement, move far beyond the coastline. There are 10 regions, and as I described to you, sometimes it appears to me that once you go west of Fort Island, we seem to be entering into a new region. We seem to be entering into a region of broken bridges, of dirt tracks, a region of low education qualifications, a region of banditry, a region of smuggling. It must not be like that. Guyana is one nation, and the Scouting Association of Guyana, as you look around this room, you don't see people of one ethnic group, you see people of different ethnic groups. The Scouting Association is one of the best means of ensuring that Guyanese of different ethnicities could come together and inherit and share this beautiful and bountiful country that we have, the country of Guyana. So, Mr. President, Chief Commissioner, boys and girls, thank you for having me here this evening. I congratulate you once again. May God bless you all, and may God bless the Scout Association of Guyana. Thank you.
is a retired teacher who as a professional in the field of education for over 32 years, taught at all levels of the system in Trinidad and Tobago, including Teachers College. He is a holder of a Bachelor of Science and a Master's of Science in Industrial Education from the University of Wisconsin, Stoughton. As a teacher, he was active in formation of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, TTUTA, served as treasurer for one term, and represented teachers of the association on many issues. His major hobby is scouting, which he joined in his youth and never left, being involved in his country of Trinidad and Tobago and internationally for 62 years. He has been the operations executive for the Caribbean since 1998, assisting with the development of scouting in 19 associations of the Caribbean. Mr. Richardson is married and the father of 3 grown children. From this, you would realize that he has a wide experience, and so it is with pleasure that I introduce Mr. Ronald Richardson to you.
I'd like to share with you some information about training, because I've been asked to present an award or two to persons who have qualified for certain levels of training. The President of the Republic spoke a lot about scouting and the value that scouting can give to young people. That scouting, that value cannot be given unless our leaders are adequately trained. And the better trained our leaders are, the better the quality of scouting that we are going to have. But in order to have quality trained leaders, we have to have trainers. And trainers are persons who would have volunteered after their basic training, getting their wood badge, to become leader trainers. And you have different levels, different courses that you need to take in order to become a leader trainer. For instance, there is what we may call the Train the Trainers course. That is, having done your basic training, and I don't say basic, I'm referring to having your wood badge beads. I call it that basic. That's what we say you can do a good job when you have your wood badge beads. Beyond that, you can apply yourselves in order to receive further training as a leader or trainer of leaders, a leader trainer. And therefore we have different stages, persons who have exposed themselves, persons who are willing to share their knowledge with others, persons who are willing to encourage and expand scouting among adults all over the Caribbean, Guyana and elsewhere. These persons are who we refer to as leader trainers. They have many years of work, they have a lot of exposure to attain their training, and also they need to be able to organize a training course. You can't be a leader trainer of one type or another and not be able to organize a course. So it takes time with somebody who is willing to offer themselves for training to be a part of what we call the training team, and to go along and learn the ropes, as scouting is learning by doing. When the association is satisfied that somebody has reached a certain level of competence in that particular area, and they have completed their level 1 or have completed their trainers course, they would be awarded a third bead. Most of our leaders who have their wood badge training would have 2 beads. The third bead indicates that this person is a trainer of leaders. This person is willing to serve others. This person is willing to share their knowledge. This person is willing to share with others the values of scouting. And these persons are willing to go beyond the call of duty in order to meet leaders wherever they are to help them with the training. And as the President of the Republic was saying, Guyana is big. You have a lot of places to go. And so we have 3 persons who are to receive that third bead this afternoon. And Andrew, could you stand forward, please? Dominic and Shariza. These are 3 persons who are going to be receiving the 3 beads a little bit later. But there's more than 3 beads. There's another bead, the 4th bead. And having done all of that you need to do in order to attain your 3rd bead, you have to be able to continue working. You have to be able to organize courses, to recruit persons into the training team, train them, get them organized, and promote quality leadership training in your association. Be willing to serve as a leader trainer within your country and outside of the country.
This has been a very good evening for Scouting in Guyana and the Scout Association. A very good evening for all of us. And I'm sure all of us are very proud. We are extremely fortunate and blessed to have had the presence of His Excellency President David Granger to attend the event, and not only attend the event, but deliver the feature address. A few days ago, I and a couple of our uniformed commissioners met with the President in his office, and we had a very good, positive discussion. And what came out of the discussion is the fact that the plans that we have here at the Scout Association, present and future plans, and the plans that the President and his government has for the development of young people are synergized. And he has promised that we will work together on a couple of issues that we believe can serve the best interests of the Scout Association of Guyana. And there were 2 things that he did at that meeting. He's demonstrated that he's not just talking the talk. He has told us that there is a minister within his office who is the point person, and that is Ms. Amna Ali, the Minister of Social Cohesion. And secondly, and more importantly for me, he has agreed to be our patron for this association. I would like to thank him. I know he had to leave. I'd like to thank him very much for being here, and I wish him well in his presidency over the next years here in Guyana. It's been a good evening also for us because, as I said, we had the minister here, and during the next couple of days, myself and Zaida and our commissioners will try to meet with her. Because one of the things that Zaida discussed with the President is the introduction of scouting into the school system, public school system, both at the primary level and the secondary level. And he seems very interested in that. So we will be taking up that challenge and having our first couple of meetings with the Minister who has a responsibility for it to develop. A very good evening for us again, because it really was a pleasure to see some of the stalwarts of scouting here this evening. I'm sure it would have been a rewarding experience for both themselves and the young ones, the new ones here, to have met. And I'm sure you're going to get a chance to talk afterwards, to share some of the experiences that you'd have had. And I would like to thank you guys very much, all of you who would have been part and parcel of this organization over the years. I thank you very much for making the effort to come here tonight. Thank you very much. And also a good night for us, because I have never seen so many people from the press at a Scout event. I know they have left, but at least it was a good night for us. And the media came to cover our event, and I was very pleased, and I know there might be a couple still here. So I thank you, the media, members of the media, coming to our events. And of course, I have to thank our public relations officer who works for us without $1 or a dime or 10 cents paid. He's always here, always covering our events. Thank you very much, Chris. We owe you a great debt. In closing, I would like to thank all the members of the executive and of the uniform staff for making this event really a successful one, a pleasing one. I think all of us here are happy right now what we've achieved. And I would also like a special thanks to Ron Richardson from Caribbean Scouting and Jesus Arrhenius. I didn't get that one right, but I keep trying. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. I know you're going to be here for a couple more days. Please enjoy your stay. To the caterers, decorators, cleaning staff, everybody who would have put this event together, thank you very much. And if I missed anybody, please accept my sincerest of thanks for making us such a pleasant afternoon. Thank you very much.